All right, let's dive deep into how cannabinoids work on pain, specifically CB1 and CB2 receptors.
Yeah.
Think of this as your personal pain relief roadmap,
Exactly.
but on a molecular level. And we've got some seriously intense research to unpack.
PhD level stuff.
Now, buckle up.
That's right. We're going way beyond just saying cannabinoids help with pain.
Right.
We're going to break down how they actually modulate those pain pathways.
Okay.
It's like, adjusting the volume on pain signals.
Yeah.
Sometimes turning them way down.
Okay, let's unpack this. First things first.
Yes.
What exactly are CB1 and CB2 receptors?
Mm-hmm.
And where do they hang out in the body?
They're like these tiny little locks on the surface of cells.
Okay.
And cannabinoids are the keys that fit them perfectly.
Yeah.
Now, the location of these receptors is really important.
Okay.
CB1 receptors are mainly found in the brain and central nervous system.
Okay.
Think of them as the mind receptors.
Got it.
CB2, on the other hand, those are more common in immune cells throughout your body.
Okay.
Those are more like body receptors.
So they're both involved in pain, but in different ways.
Exactly. CB1 being in the brain,
Yeah.
it can actually interfere with pain signals before you even become aware of them.
Whoa.
It's like a gatekeeper, stopping the message before it reaches you.
That's wild. So it's not even reducing the pain, it's potentially stopping it before you even feel it.
That's the idea. And then you have CB2,
Yeah.
which works more on the body side of things.
Okay.
It helps dampen the inflammatory response.
Right.
Which, as you know, often goes hand in hand with pain.
Ah, so it's like a two-pronged attack.
Right.
CB1 in the brain, CB2 in the body.
Yeah,
Both working to tackle pain.
precisely.
Mm.
But the real magic starts when a cannabinoid actually binds to one of these receptors.
Okay.
It sets off this chain reaction inside the cell.
Yeah. I remember from my bio classes, it's not just bind and pain gone.
No.
There's a whole cascade of events.
You got it. The first responders are these things called G proteins.
G proteins.
Think of them as cellular messengers, but instead of envelopes, they're carrying these molecules
Okay.
that trigger a whole domino effect.
So they're like little couriers zipping around the cell.
That's a great visual.
Okay.
And this cascade, it involves a bunch of other players, too.
Yeah.
Like GTP-GDP exchange, think of those as on-off switches.
Okay.
And a molecule called CAM-MP, which is like a master regulator in the cell. Then you have some lesser-known characters like PLC and DJIP3, but we'll get to those in a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lots of names to keep track of, but I trust you'll guide us through it.
Absolutely. The important thing to remember is that this whole molecular dance
Yeah.
is what ultimately leads to pain relief.
Okay. I'm ready to follow these G proteins and see where they take us. Lead the way.
All right, so imagine a cannabinoid just bound to a CB1 receptor in your brain.
Okay.
This activates the G protein,
Mm.
which goes on to affect an enzyme called adenyl cyclase.
Adenyl cyclase. That one rings a bell, but remind me, what's its role in all this?
Well, adenyl cyclase is responsible for making something called cyclic AMP,
Okay.
or SAMAMP for short.
Right.
And SAMAMP, it's like a master conductor in the cell,
Yeah.
controlling a ton of processes,
Okay.
including how your brain interprets pain signals.
So by influencing adenyl cyclase, cannabinoids can indirectly control SAMP levels.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's like pulling levers behind the scenes to adjust the volume on pain.
That's pretty clever. I'm starting to see how intricate this all is.
And we're just getting started.
Okay.
G proteins also mess with the flow of calcium ions into the cell,
Okay.
which is another key player in pain signaling.
So it's like a multi-level attack on pain,
It really is.
all orchestrated by these tiny G proteins.
But there's another pathway that's crucial here,
Okay.
called the MAPK pathway.
MAPK.
Yeah,
Another one for the acronym list.
right.
What's so special about this pathway?
Well, the MPK pathway involves a bunch of enzymes. Think of them as specialized tools called MAPK, ERK, JNK, and P38.
Okay.
These guys are all about regulating inflammation,
Okay.
which, as we discussed earlier, is a major contributor to pain.
Wow. The deeper we go, the more complex this gets. It's like uncovering a secret network inside ourselves.
That's the beauty of it. These intricate pathways show just how sophisticated our body's pain modulation system really is,
Right.
and how cannabinoids can fine-tune it on multiple levels.
Okay, let's recap.
Yeah.
We've got cannabinoids binding to CB1 and CB2 receptors,
Uh-huh.
which triggers this chain reaction involving G proteins.
Yep.
These G proteins then go on to affect adenyl cyclase,
Right.
calcium flow,
Yeah.
and even the MAPK pathway, all leading to
Pain relief, it's not just masking the pain.
Right.
It's changing the way our bodies actually process it at a fundamental level.
It's incredible to think that while people have used cannabinoids for pain relief for centuries, we're only just beginning to unravel the science behind it.
Absolutely. And the more we learn, the more we realize just how much potential these compounds hold.
Yeah.
For example, research on those MAPK enzymes we mentioned,
Right.
ERK, JNK, and P38, is shedding new light on how cannabinoids can fine-tune the pain response with incredible precision.
It's like we found a hidden control panel for pain management, and we're just starting to figure out all the buttons and dials.
Exactly, and that's what makes this research so exciting.
Yeah.
We're on the cusp of a whole new era of pain management, one that's based on a deep understanding of our body's own intricate systems.
This is mind-blowing stuff. We've covered a lot of ground already, from cellular locks and keys to these cascading molecular events.
Yeah, but remember, all this complexity serves a crucial purpose.
Okay.
Understanding these mechanisms helps us appreciate the potential of cannabinoids as therapeutic tools.
Right.
And with ongoing research, who knows what other applications we might uncover.
It's like we're exploring uncharted territory in the human body. Okay, deep divers, I think it's time for a quick breather.
Okay.
But we'll be back soon to explore even more of this fascinating world of cannabinoids and pain relief. Don't go anywhere.
All right, so before the break, we were mapping out how those tiny cannabinoid molecules can trigger these huge chain reactions inside our cells. But how does that actually translate into feeling less pain?
That's what I'm really curious about. We talked about CB1 receptors being like gatekeepers in the brain,
Yeah.
stopping pain signals in their tracks. But what about CB2 and those immune cells?
Right.
How do they fit into the pain relief picture?
Well, remember, inflammation often goes hand in hand with pain.
Okay.
Think about a sprained ankle.
Yeah.
It swells up, gets red, and throbs.
Right.
That's your immune system doing its job.
Yeah.
But that inflammatory response also contributes to the pain you feel.
So CB2 receptors on those immune cells can actually dial down that inflammatory response.
Exactly. They help regulate the release of inflammatory molecules,
Okay.
calming things down at the site of injury. It's like turning down the heat on that inflammatory fire.
So it's not just about blocking pain signals in the brain.
Right.
It's also about managing the underlying inflammation that's often driving that pain.
Precisely. And
Yeah.
that's why cannabinoids can be so effective for conditions like arthritis,
Okay.
where chronic inflammation is a major issue.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now, I remember you mentioned these other molecules,
Yeah.
PLC and DGIP3.
Yeah.
Where do they fit into this whole cascade?
Yeah.
Are they part of the pain relief process too?
They are indeed.
Okay.
They're part of a different branch of the G protein signaling pathway.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about G proteins being like messengers?
Yeah, like little couriers.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, they can actually activate different pathways depending on the type of G protein involved.
Okay, so it's not a one-size-fits-all situation.
Right.
Different G proteins have different jobs.
Exactly. Some G proteins, like the ones we discussed earlier,
Yeah.
primarily affect adenyl cyclase and CAMP levels. But others can activate an enzyme called phospholipase C,
Okay, or
Wow.
PLC.
PLC, another acronym to add to our list. What does this PLC do?
Well, PLC sets off its own chain reaction.
Okay.
It breaks down a molecule in the cell membrane,
Yeah.
creating two important signaling molecules, DAG and IP3.
DAG and IP3. I'm starting to feel like I need a molecular decoder ring to keep track of all these names.
I know it can get a bit alphabet soupy in here,
Yeah.
but stick with me because these molecules play a crucial role in pain modulation too.
Yeah.
IP3, for instance, can trigger the release of calcium ions from storage sites inside the cell.
Wait, calcium, didn't we say that G proteins can directly affect calcium flow?
Yeah,
Why does IP3 need to get involved?
that's a great question. It highlights the complexity and redundancy of these signaling pathways. It's like having multiple backup systems in place
Right.
to ensure that pain signals are carefully regulated.
Okay.
IP3 essentially provides another layer of control over calcium levels, which are crucial for a whole range of cellular processes.
Including pain signaling.
So it's like a checks and balances system for pain.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
DAG, the other molecule produced by PLC,
Yeah.
it activates a different set of enzymes called protein kinase C, or PKC.
Okay, so DAG activates PKC, and what do those do?
Well, PKC enzymes are involved in a ton of cellular processes,
Okay.
but in the context of pain, they can modulate the activity of ion channels.
Ion channels, those are the gates that control the flow of ions in and out of the cell, right?
You got it.
Okay.
And by tweaking the activity of these ion channels, PKC can influence how pain signals are transmitted.
So it's another way to fine-tune those pain signals. This is incredible.
Yeah.
Seems like every step we take uncovers another layer of complexity.
And that's what makes this research so fascinating. It's like piecing together a giant jigsaw puzzle, with each new discovery revealing another piece of the pain modulation picture. We're just beginning to understand the full extent of how cannabinoids interact with these intricate signaling pathways.
It's truly mind-blowing to think about all this happening inside our bodies right now, all orchestrated by these tiny molecules.
It is, and the more we learn about these molecular interactions, the more we appreciate the power of cannabinoids as therapeutic tools. They're not just masking the pain, they're working with the body's own systems to modulate pain at its source. So we've been deep in the weeds of these molecular pathways, exploring how cannabinoids interact with our cells to modulate pain. But I'm curious, what's been the most surprising takeaway for you so far?
Honestly, I'm amazed by the sheer complexity of it all.
Yeah.
Who knew there were so many players involved in something as seemingly simple as feeling pain?
It really highlights the intricate dance happening inside our bodies every second. And the
Yeah.
fact that cannabinoids can influence this dance in such a targeted way, it's quite remarkable.
It makes you wonder if there are even more layers we haven't uncovered yet. Like we've been talking about CB1 and CB2.
Right.
But are there other cannabinoid receptors out there just
Yeah.
waiting to be discovered?
That's a great question and one that researchers are actively exploring. There's evidence suggesting the existence of other cannabinoid receptors,
Oh, what?
but their roles are still being investigated.
So it's like we're only just scratching the surface of this whole endocannabinoid system.
Exactly. And each new discovery opens up a whole new avenue of possibilities for therapeutic applications.
Now, you mentioned that cannabinoids can modulate pain at its source.
Uh-huh.
Can you elaborate on that a bit more? What does that actually mean in terms of how we experience pain?
Well, think about it this way. Traditional pain medications often just mask the symptoms.
Okay.
They might block pain signals, but they don't address the underlying causes.
So it's like putting a bandage on a wound without actually cleaning it.
That's a good analogy. Cannabinoids, on the other hand,
Yeah.
they have the potential to address pain at multiple levels.
Okay.
We've talked about how they can block pain signals in the brain, reduce inflammation at the site of injury,
Right.
and even modulate the emotional response to pain.
So it's a more holistic approach to pain management.
Precisely. It's about restoring balance within the entire system, not just silencing the alarm bells.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not just about getting rid of the pain. It's about addressing the underlying factors that are contributing to it in the first place.
Exactly. And this understanding of the endocannabinoid system's role in pain modulation has huge implications for the future of pain management.
Okay.
We're moving away from the one-size-fits-all approach
Yeah,
and towards more personalized therapies that target specific mechanisms.
that's exciting. So instead of just relying on painkillers, we might be able to tailor treatments based on an individual's specific needs and the underlying causes of their pain.
That's the goal. And with ongoing research, we're getting closer to making that a reality.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling incredibly inspired by all of this.
Yeah.
It's like a whole new world of possibilities has opened up.
It is inspiring, isn't it? And it underscores the power of scientific inquiry. The more we understand about our own bodies, the better equipped we are to find solutions to even the most complex challenges.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the fascinating world of cannabinoids and pain modulation.
I hope our listeners are walking away with a newfound appreciation for the incredible complexity and potential of the endocannabinoid system.
It's been a wild ride through these molecular pathways.
It has.
But it's clear that this research is paving the way for a more hopeful future for those struggling with pain.
Absolutely. And remember, the journey of discovery doesn't end here. Stay curious, keep asking questions, and who knows what other breakthroughs we might uncover in the years to come.
And until next time, stay tuned and keep diving deep.